Well, hello everyone. You here show you right here top lane for the main character Matthew, and I'm sure most of us have heard that before. I talk about for main character, and on the other hand, I include right here the words you say the letters say of the alphabet as well as with the words right here. For my name is Matthew Sean McGuire, and I'm 31 years old, and I like to share with my goals and as well as for any questions. So for us, for any questions that are related, such as what does main mean? And so while we're reading that, we may see those these type of if you want to call it like word phrases, such as main subjects or main topics or anything like that. So what does main basically mean necessarily? And I keep thinking, though, is like, yeah, that something does that basically mean is to where something to always keep, memorized, keep on note, such as who the main character is, maybe the main subject, and then maybe the main task, the main priority is to where that for things to work out, towards for education purposes or anything like that. So anything that will we call main, and I use right here for main characters to where that yeah that this could maybe apply to me as to where that yeah that if I was what you call I don't know we can maybe think about as to where that the person to have about maybe what you call the highest quality of responsibility towards you working on something, and or it could be as to where the person who is willing to explain a little bit more of the story. So whenever this right here will be like a painting right here that I went and put together right here. But let's just say that, yeah, that if this was like maybe example right here of a student ID or a driver's license, and anybody say that, yeah, does that look like a little bit like you necessarily? But you see right here is like for the main character, or it could be, from Maine, is that not really like say it's like a state main, but then like a for like for the English language, for language arts, type meaning for main is to where the main subject, or if it's the main topic or the main character. So on the other hand, that the person who is speaking, or it could be the person who is going to be from the start, and then from the finish, those type of meetings. But have you ever thought about as to where that yeah that does this basically mean as to where that the one who's mainly focused on, it's like the one who gets the most attention or anything like that, and anybody that may warrant to where that yeah, if you have like right here, it's maybe a group of people, group of audiences, and then thinking about as to where that you have many names, maybe listed somewhere, but then on your hand too, that knowing about is to where they yeah that there's maybe just one person who is willing to speak, and then one person who's really to handle that job and that task for what needs to be managed. But you see right here is like for M and M. And right here, I think about is like for M for my name, and then as well as for W, for M and then W, it's like for my full name for Matthew. But on the other hand, that whenever we think about this right here, is this right here would be like a painting right here of me right here, and I'm like, that kind of looks like me. But on the other hand, that whenever I was working on this, I want to also paint up, for anybody who maybe weren't, to where that besides for the master's degree and all that other study, but graduation is also talk about for main character. That I keep thinking though that yeah that for if I do, you'll wind up thinking about is to where that a main character basically is to where that somebody who is able to where for anybody that main focused on something, and if it's going to be this person who's going to be the person who's that people are going to be expecting the most work out of. And it seems like if we were to be looking it up in a dictionary, an encyclopedia or whichever that and doing our studies about what exactly, well, what's a good, the definition for the main, for like main words, or for like the main character, or for the main story. And I guess we can maybe think about as to where something, if it's like say verb or pronoun, something to where that we need to memorize either at all times, or that's just something to where that yeah that people we may think as to where that something that's most important. So it could be like subject or principle or anything like that. It's like something most important. But the way I think about it, though, is like, yeah, that whenever if we're going to be in class or taking down notes or something like that, is that one of the most important is like thought of as like for like the subject matter, to where that one thing that we should not stay out of focus with, and one thing that we should remember at all times. So I guess it could be that a word or a phrase that we need to remember at least at all times. So, and I know that we may think necessarily to where that like main character, let's just say if I can use me as like a main character, the one who's speaking, because if I were to be in a meeting, connected to about maybe 3 or 4 other clients, and maybe with professor or maybe a manager or something like that, that people may not be hearing the voices of what you call these 3 or 4 other people. They would probably be just hearing me, such as for the main auditor, or somebody that program, if it's like maybe because a program, a software program, that the main auditor could be that with Matthew here, and then until he starts training other people, then you may be hearing that somebody speaking, such as the corporate manager, or maybe the assistant manager, or maybe the leader or president or so of the company, or something like that. So whenever we think about this, as to where the main character, or if it's the main topic, is to where something that's mainly focused on, compared to if between the main or the primary, or just the regular. So I really don't know. I'm like, at the time we may wonder to where what is the difference between the main character and then the regular character. So that regular basically means is like maybe backup, to where is somebody else that's working on maybe a project or some kind, or maybe a story, that they're writing a story, and there's somebody else that's guiding that person for that, anything that they may missed, or that could be maybe for general assistance or something like that, or for regular assistance. But I guess it goes by like all kinds of studies as to where that, yeah, that while I'm speaking, and then there could be somebody else that's listening, and kind of thinking about as to where that they knowing about for what I'm talking about, especially, and then they're like warned to where, okay, you got a few examples right here what you want to discuss, and as well as for the goals and anything that you want to improve, or anybody else that wants to post any feedbacks or anything like that, wants to post their own feedback about what they think about something. So let's just say if the meeting were to be about maybe changes going on, maybe with software programs, or maybe about improvements to help students with the improvement for anything that they want to study on, and as well as assistance with how to write their name, or what they want to do for like getting started materials. So a few things that we may think about as to where what we want to write about is when maybe going by the requirements as well, and then as well as understanding about sentence fragments, and other type of English skills as well. And then on the other hand, that for where we're at now, and then from where we're planning on going, so far as you writing a story, and then kind of explaining about a little bit about what the subject matter is about. It's like for the main subject. So there may be a number of ways of how we can describe from main, and mainly is to where that, yeah, between regular and primary, or anything like that, any of those other words or phrases, to where that yeah, the character or a student, or the person you're speaking could be Matthew, but then on the other hand, that the regular person could be somebody else. So like anybody that may learn to where they, yeah, you've always known as like to the what does main character or main basically mean, is like to where the person who's in the story nearly 95 or 100% of the time. So that, yeah, that from the start of the story, and then towards the middle of the story, and then that towards the end of the story, that you may see their their names, or their and the information that that's provided in the story. So I can maybe give some examples too, but some stories that I read about the main character is usually from the start, and then towards the end. So you're like Warren to where that, yeah, that basic requirements about being the main character. And anybody that may want to where that, yeah, they'll, people say that, they may give you a nickname too. And I don't know, I'm like anybody that may say that, you know, they give you a nickname. And what's that reason to why that they nickname you such and such? Is like you that you are what you call you are the only person in the whole group. You're I guess you want to say the main character. You are the main person. You are the only person who really does that or really has that ability. You're the only one who really has what you call the score on average to where that yeah, with your vision or your writing skills, you're the only one who can really write in this type of format or any type of papers. You're the only one who really raises their hand, raises their left hand instead of their right hand or anything like that. So, you got a question about something that somebody say, yeah, yep, that person's he's the main person who really does that type of skill that I see, in the class. So anybody that may want to wear that, anybody that's known to be recognized. And I keep thinking though is that, yeah, that I had this highlighted right here, like for, yellow, my name right here. So if we would be reading a sentence, then maybe the main I guess say the verb or pronoun will be like highlighted. I guess you want to say the highlight. If we would be taking down notes, we can maybe look at it that way as to where that yeah, for like that the main words and that the main pronouns to say the say that the main focus is to where that yeah, that anything that's going on for any after we read about maybe 5 paragraphs or so of a sentence, then we would maybe pick about 2 or 3 words, really. Those are the main words to memorize just to help easy to remember instead of having to memorize maybe a full document or a full sentence to where maybe a story that contains over 25, characters and sentences or anything, 25 more than 25 sentences or so long, and then more likely that you can maybe pick maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of the main words to memorize. So we may think necessarily to where that yeah, that I may be one of those what you call members of the group, out of all together maybe about 25 members of the group, 25 students in the class. But then on the other hand too, that if we were like say do the division, it's like additional and then the subtraction and the divisions, and knowing about yeah that that what you call there's only one person working on a certain essay or a portfolio, or if it's going to be an assignment or anything like that. So I would use right here is like your words like it. You write that it's like in like a wave, but type of yeah, how you want to pronounce I got it right. This like a wave. The way I would type this in right here is like for the main character Matthew. Is that I got that going laying out over the top my painting there. But anyway, but other than that, I talk about here for the main character Matthew, and anybody that may warrant to where that yeah that aren't you going to draw the rest of your shoulders and as well as you sitting down or anything like that, or maybe working at your desk. But I'm like just kind of get started right here talk about say for the main character. I know I keep pretty busy too with what I got to do in class, but let's just say that talk about for main. The main character Matthew is that for anybody that's going to be thinking about is to where you want to be what you call the known if you want to call it the known champion in the group to where that somebody you want to get a pat on the back, so you want to show something that's maybe going to impress maybe the class or the group or so you at the meeting. It's like you want to show something that you learned or something like that. So I know anybody, maybe kids, that they may think is to where that they don't think that they're getting an equal amount of attention, or that they just want to get somebody else's attention for whichever reason. That anybody that may think about is to where that yeah that the main character could be is to where somebody who wants to speak up about something, or somebody that may know quite a bit, somebody who's left in charge with something or some database or anything like that. So there may be a number of ways of how to describe main for like main character or for the main project manager or anything like that. But one thing that I guess to memorize is to where that one person who is left, I guess, for trusted, for to be able to finish a project or to finish a job or to talk about something or to speak about something or to become what you call the high top, member of, for the speaker. So I'm sure anybody who may remember those assemblies from the schools as to where that, yeah, that, there's going to be somebody speaking, and more likely that somebody speaking may be what you call the person to where everybody's listening to. And I'm sure anybody that may know what I'm talking about is to where that whenever one person is speaking, and then maybe a whole group of audience, I would say about maybe 176 or so people that are listening, that basically, I guess, I would say is like a good example. I would say, for main character, for the main person, for anything that's going on, for the main event, and then as well as the main word. So something that more likely that anybody would be taking, focused mainly on. So. And I will include right here is like, yeah, that, between the capital M and the lowercase m, that at the time we weren't, to where that if you put a capital M somewhere, we're like weren't, to where that, that may match what you call like for a capital of a verb or something like that, maybe a name of some location, maybe a street name, or maybe the name of the museum, or maybe the name of the theater, or maybe the name of the shopping center or something like that. So we're like weren't, to where if we pronounce it, it's like for lowercase, then that goes by. It's like I'm sure most of us can remember from the language arts, even from the fourth grade, is that one of these what you calls like for the main event, for the main verb or anything like that. But on your hand too, something to mainly stay focused on. So to stay focused on something, I guess that could also mean is for for the main topic. So main author, for other words of how to describe main. So whenever we think about this, and thinking about right here, is that if I was going to be like, say, the main writer, and then anybody like say about us to where that, I write something, and then all of a sudden it could be published maybe on the announcements or on the bulletin or something like that. Then you're like Warren, to where that you write a story, and in it now that you got people, you got about maybe 15 or more people looking at it. It's like, is that the main story? The person that mainly is by the focus. But there could be a number of reasons, but one of those would be is to where that the one to stay focusedly attentioned on, stay focused, by the immediate attention, as well as that the main you could also mean is to where that 100% focused on those that are willing to take for what the top agenda needs to be for the top focus. But anyway, but there you have it right there, is talk about for like I went ahead and highlight right here, it could be main character or the main story. But on your hand too, the question goes by as to where my goals is the question, what does main mean? So there may be a number of reasons or ways of how to describe main, but we weren't, to where whenever we look at our name, we may see right here maybe that the G could be the main letter in our last name. Let's just say if we pick one character out of our first name and one character out of our last name. So if we want to use the letters as the main character, we're like Warren, to where that the G, and then the G and the T. I was going to say maybe H, but go ahead and use G and then the T. So would that maybe mean that it's going to be a capital letter, and then on your hand that you're like Warren, to where that you pick one of those, the top focus, or it could be maybe the capital letter in the first name. The first name right here, MM. So it's right. I would put right here for M. So main. So let's just say that if somebody's name were to begin with like what you call maybe a Q or maybe an R. I'm like anybody that may want to. Or what about R? I'm like if you want to match that with main, and I'm sure if anybody were saying you do by what you call between person, place, or thing, like you'll find a meaning for the letter R, or maybe for for P or for N or for Y or S or maybe a letter U or something like that. Letter U or maybe Z. So and then I know that anybody that may want it to where if maybe like on a grade report, why is it that the main like if it's going to be like say a grade report, how come the letter M is not anywhere in the grade score? Well, I keep thinking, oh well, really, that if it's really measured by the letters of the alphabet or just a letter measured by is to where that if it pass or fail. But on the other hand, that you say the highest grade score goes to is like as a 90, so we're like wondering to where that if a letter M is located in like what's called a GPA average score, more likely is to where that between the main GPA like so far is the best, or if it's like to say it's like well on the other hand that if you go it's like if your score is between an 89 to a 91.89 or so, then more likely the main focus more likely be is to try to work hard and try to show more improvements in the classroom or anything like that. So we're like one to where that ever since I was young that a lot of times this is how anybody say I may not even have to spell my name. So this would be like an example right here of like a main letter for my name. So whenever people may see something like this, maybe imprinted, maybe in red, when people see a capital M in red, then more likely it's possible they may think that that is maybe me. So anybody that may want to wear like for M, just for capital M, that could be what you call the main topic to where, oh yeah, M, I see M right here, but then that could be maybe underlined a certain way, that could maybe be colored in contrast a certain way, and they're like wanting to where, yeah, that the main topic will be right here. It's like for me right here, and like M, but then people may think that, oh, is that you, Matthew McGuire? Like, so you're like, well, all they really see is something like this right here, M. But then they may, but what could maybe be hidden to where that people may find out more about is to where that there's a story right here, but then it's highlighted right in here. So they use M, and then they may have it underlined a certain way, then they may have it colorized a certain way. So anybody that may want to where that you may see your name written somewhere, but then in a storyline or like anything school related or job related or anything like that, portfolio related, and then they may automatically assume that this is me, this will be me right here from Matthew Sean McGuire. So we're like wondering about that, is to where that ways of how we want to introduce our name. And one of those would be is to where that, that if it's going to be username or password or anything like that, anything about related to that people know you by, this right here. So we may not have to spell and say our name each and every time, but people who know you best, that they may say is to where every time we look at this right here, that every time we look at the name pronounced, and then it more likely would be is to where the main topic could be is to where we know that more likely that person could be Matthew right there. But other than that, the Matthew, say for the main character Matthew, talk say the words, and it's like with the words of pronouns, it's like talk say the main event, it's like the main attention, the word, the meaning, I would say the words, for what the main means. Other than that, your main character Matthew, and thanks for watching Anime 25, and have a great